When most people think of Budapest, they picture a city straight out of a fairy tale, grand parliament buildings glowing against the night sky, romantic boat rides drifting along the Danube, and a skyline that seems to shimmer at dusk. It's a vision that feels almost magical, as if you've stepped into a storybook. This is the Hungary that's carefully curated and sold in glossy travel brochures, a polished, enchanting version steeped in centuries of history and irresistible charm. It's the image that draws millions of visitors every year, all eager to experience the city's legendary beauty. I arrived here with those same images in my mind, convinced I was about to live out a European dream. I imagined days filled with sightseeing, delicious food, and endless wonder. But what if I told you there's another side to Budapest? A side that's deeper, more complex, and far more real than the one you see on postcards or Instagram feeds. Because everything changes when the vacation ends and you decide to stay. That's when the real journey begins, when you trade hotel rooms for a modest apartment and tourist maps for local routines. Suddenly, it's not about ticking off sites or snapping photos. It's about building a life, one ordinary day at a time, shopping at the market, learning the language, and finding comfort in the rhythm of daily life. The postcard image isn't a lie, but it's only a tiny fragment of the truth. The real Budapest is layered, full of contrasts and surprises. The true story is written in the unwritten pages, in the everyday lives of the people who call this place home, in their traditions, struggles, and small joys. My goal became to understand the hidden struggles and quiet joys that tourists rarely notice. I wanted to see what life was really like beyond the tourist trail. This journey changed me in ways I never expected. It challenged everything I thought I knew about travel, happiness, and what it means to belong somewhere. I discovered that the most valuable experiences often don't cost a thing. They're found in laughter with friends, quiet moments in a park, or a simple picnic by the river. This isn't just a guide to saving money while traveling. It's about finding richness in simplicity and meaning in the everyday. It's an invitation to look deeper, to connect more authentically, and to see the world through the eyes of those who live here. This is the story of how I stopped being just a visitor in Hungary and started to feel like I truly belonged, by joining in, helping out, and becoming part of the community. So, are you ready to look beyond the postcard and see the other side of Hungary? Let's dive in together and discover the real Hungary, the one that's waiting just beyond the picture-perfect illusion. The dream of living in Europe is powerful, a vision that dances in the minds of many. The allure of cobblestone streets, vibrant cultures, and centuries-old architecture is hard to resist. But dreams, as beautiful as they are, don't pay the rent. Reality has a way of stepping in, especially when you're staring at a price tag. So I asked myself, could I really live in Hungary on just $700 a month? It sounded almost impossible, like a challenge meant for someone else. In Budapest, the city of lights and history, it seemed like a far-fetched idea. The initial excitement of moving quickly faded, replaced by a creeping anxiety. What if I couldn't make it work? How would I find a place to live that I could actually afford? What would I eat if my budget barely covered groceries? The first few days were a harsh reality check, filled with uncertainty and self-doubt. I soon realized the Hungary I needed to survive in was not the glossy version shown on travel websites or Instagram feeds. Living on such a tight budget forced me to get creative and resourceful in ways I'd never imagined. I learned to stretch every forint, to make do with less, and to find joy in simplicity. Every purchase became a decision. Every forint was carefully considered, tracked, and accounted for. There was no room for impulse buys or careless spending. But this constraint, rather than holding me back, became my greatest gift. It unlocked a side of Hungary I never would have seen otherwise: hidden gems, local secrets, and authentic experiences. It pushed me into neighborhoods and situations that became the unexpected highlights of my journey, places and people I would have missed on a bigger budget. Was it a recipe for misery or a passport to a more authentic way of living? I chose the latter, embracing the challenge and the rewards it brought. This limitation was not a cage, but a lens that helped me focus on what truly matters: connection, community, and the simple joys of daily life. This was the true beginning of my Hungarian adventure, a journey not just through a country, but into a new way of seeing the world. Let's dive in and explore how I made it work step by step, and how you might be able to do the same. Finding a place to live on a tight budget is the first hurdle for anyone moving to a new city, and Budapest was no exception for me. The excitement of starting fresh was quickly tempered by the reality of limited funds and a competitive rental market. My rent budget was around $300, which felt almost impossible in such a popular European city where prices have been steadily rising. Every listing I found seemed just out of reach, and I worried I'd have to settle for something far from ideal. But I soon learned to look beyond the city center, where rents were sky-high. By exploring outer districts like Kobanya and Újpest, I discovered hidden gems, neighborhoods with character, local markets, and a slower pace of life. After sending countless emails, making phone calls, and attending several viewings, I finally found a small, one-room apartment in a classic Soviet-era panel building, known locally as a panel haus. The apartment was simple, with old but sturdy furniture and a tiny kitchen that barely fit 2 people. Still, it was clean, warm, and had everything I needed to start my new life. For about $280 a month, it became my sanctuary, a place to unwind after long days, and a space that was truly my own. Living in a panel haus was an education in itself. The building was always buzzing with life. Children playing in the courtyard, neighbors chatting in the hallways, and families sharing meals together. I shared the creaky old elevator with elderly ladies carrying groceries, and I often heard the sounds of daily life, laughter, music, and conversations in Hungarian echoing through the walls. It wasn't the romantic, sunlit apartment I once dreamed of, but it turned out to be something even better, a real home filled with authenticity and warmth. Living here connected me to the rhythm of everyday Hungarian life, from morning routines to evening gatherings, and made me feel like I was truly part of the community. These panel haus buildings are a huge part of Hungary's modern history, housing generations of families and shaping the city's unique character. Choosing to live here was more than just a financial decision, it was a cultural immersion, a chance to experience Budapest as locals do. It taught me that a home isn't about luxury or perfection, but about having a safe, warm place to return to at the end of each day, no matter how small or humble. Let's see how this experience shaped my journey and helped me grow in ways I never expected. With housing secured, the next challenge was food. My daily food budget was roughly $7, making eating out a rare luxury. The key was avoiding supermarkets and tourist traps, discovering the magic of local markets. My local market was a bustling, chaotic place, where prices were a fraction of the city center. I learned Hungarian words for basic foods, and bought fresh vegetables from farmers. I cooked simple, hearty Hungarian dishes in my tiny kitchen. My daily routine became a ritual, walking to the market with my cloth bag. These small interactions made me feel part of the community. I was learning the art of living simply, appreciating fresh ingredients and home-cooked meals. This is the reality of food for many Hungarians: seasonal, affordable, and hearty home cooking. By embracing this way of life, I connected with the culture on a deeper level. Let's explore the flavors of Hungary. Most tourists in Budapest stick to a well-worn path, missing 90% of the city. My limited budget and location in an outer district gave me a unique opportunity to explore hidden areas. My public transport pass was my ticket to adventure, giving me access to the city's extensive network. I discovered places like Óbuda with its Roman ruins and Csepel Island with its industrial past. These places weren't tourist attractions, but they were fascinating. They showed me the diverse fabric of the city. One favorite discovery was the Weckerli Estate, a hidden architectural gem. These explorations taught me that the soul of a city is found in its quiet neighborhoods and local parks. My budget didn't restrict my ability to explore, it enhanced it. Let's uncover the real Budapest. The most valuable part of my experience was the people I met. Living in a local neighborhood opened the door to conversations I never would have had as a tourist. My attempts to speak Hungarian were met with smiles and encouragement. These small interactions grew into longer conversations, offering glimpses into their lives. I remember József, an elderly man who shared stories of Budapest's past. His stories were a living history lesson, filled with personal details and emotions. Another time, a student named Kata invited me for coffee, sharing her dreams and challenges. These conversations painted a rich picture of Hungarian life. They were small, quiet moments of human connection. Let's delve into these meaningful encounters. Living in Budapest on $700 a month created a strange duality. I was living a local, budget-conscious existence, surrounded by a thriving tourist industry. Sometimes these two worlds collided. I would pass tourists boarding a dinner cruise, an experience that would cost my entire week's food budget. The tourist view of Hungary is one of effortless beauty and affordable luxury. For them, a $15 meal is a bargain. For me, it was a significant expense. They see the city as a playground. I experienced it as a home. This contrast was most obvious in the city's ruin bars, now too expensive for many locals. I learned to find authentic places, not just performances for tourists. This experience taught me a valuable lesson about travel. We often only see the polished surface a country presents. The real life of a place is quieter, less glamorous, and more complex. Living on a budget forced me to step out of the tourist world and into the local one. Let's explore this duality. Living on $700 a month doesn't mean a boring life. It forces you to find joy in simple, often free activities. My biggest secret was embracing the outdoors, with Hungary's incredible natural beauty. I spent weekends hiking in the Buda Hills and visiting towns like Szentendre. Culture in Budapest can be affordable if you know where to look. Many museums have free admission days, and I discovered free concerts. My entertainment was about being present and curious. Community is key to a rich life on a small budget. I found free language exchange groups and joined outdoor yoga classes. This sense of community provided support, friendship, and belonging. The ultimate secret is redefining what rich means. Let's uncover these secrets. As my time in Hungary ended, I looked back on my journey. I arrived with a tourist's expectations, leaving with a resident's memories. The city was no longer just beautiful sights, it was personal connections and familiar faces. I came to see the Grand Parliament building but fell in love with my panel Haas balcony view. This experience taught me to travel differently, making authentic connections. The $700 budget was a gift, unlocking doors I never would have found. It led me to the true heart of Hungary. I encourage you to seek out these experiences. Look beyond the top 10 lists and visit local markets. Learn a few words of the local language and listen to people's stories. These transform a vacation into a life-changing journey. My love for Hungary is now deeper and more personal. I hope my story inspires you to find your own hidden Hungary. Thank you for coming on this journey with me.